Let's start it out with the marquee game on Fox on Sunday. That would be the New Orleans Saints smashing the Dallas Cowboys 44-19. 25-point win that was even more lopsided than I think that score suggests. The Saints crushed the Carolina Panthers in week 1, and a lot of people, yours truly included, mea culpa, Saints fans, we said, yeah, that's nice. You beat up on the Panthers, but can you do it against a real team? Yeah, suffice to say that they can. The New Orleans Saints have scored 91 points through their first 2 games. It's the second highest point total through 2 games since the NFL merger. It only trails the 2009 Saints, who you might remember won the Super Bowl, one of the best offenses we've ever seen in NFL history. This Saints team looks like, I mean, it's so early, but they are on an impressive track. I don't know where you want to begin. This is one of those games where the Saints put up video game numbers, 35 points scored at halftime. It's the ties the most for the highest point total in the first half. How about Derek Carr, that guy on your screen if you're watching the show? You realize Derek Carr started out his season leading the Saints on 11 scoring drives over the course of 2 games. Unreal stuff. Derek Carr only needed 16 pass attempts to throw for 243 yards. That's 15.2 yards per attempt. It's the 3rd highest total in the last decade. Only Lamar Jackson has ever averaged that many yards per attempt going back to 2015. Incredibly impressive stuff. And the key to it all, the run game. The Dallas Cowboys have struggled to defend the run in the past. It was a problem for them all of last season, and they failed an early test in Mike Zimmer's tenure as defensive coordinator. The Saints go for 190 yards on the ground. Alvin Kamara turning back the clock, making it look like it's 2018, 2019. 20 carries for 115 and 3 tutties. Throw in a couple receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown as well. I'm guessing if he's on your fantasy team, you are happy on this Monday. And I'm not surprised that he was Tom Brady's LFG player of the game.
Alvin, congratulations.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, what a performance by you. 4 touchdowns, 180 yards offense. You did it in the run game. You did it in the pass game. You were awesome today. Congratulations. How's it feel to come on the road against a really good defense? And you guys handled them all day long.
Man, it felt good. You know, I think we had a great week of practice. You know, we just focused on us all week. Clint put together a great plan. We felt good about it all week and just executed, man. It feels good to come out here and put it all together.
Yeah, the execution was great. You guys had so many touchdown drives to start. You were playing with the lead. All those weapons that you have were at your disposal. But I want to give that offensive line a lot of credit. They were challenged all offseason, obviously into the preseason, wonder what they could really be. How do you feel about how that offensive line performed for you today?
Man, those guys, look, and they don't always get all the credit, but I'll give them all the credit. I'll give them all the kudos and the flowers, man. Those dudes worked hard, harder than anybody all week, all offseason, all camp. I mean, they heard all the noise, all the talk about how they weren't going to be what they knew they were going to be, and they just coming out and performing, man. They doing it. They getting ugly down there and just giving us space and opportunity to go out there and execute, man. I love them boys.
Yeah, congratulations. You got the LFG player of the game. That's a nice trophy for you on the mantle.
This came out your budget, Tom?
Yes, it did. It did. We worked hard to design that, but you've earned it today. So happy for you. Next time I see you play, I want 5 touchdowns. 4 wasn't good enough.
All right, bro. I got you.
Congrats. Have a great rest of the season. I hope I see you soon.
No doubt.
I'm so happy Tom and Alvin shouted out 2 things in particular. Let's start with the Saints offensive line. Talk about answering the bell. This has been one of the most maligned units in the NFL going back to last year. Big part of the reason why the Saints offense looked as mediocre as it did for a big stretch of 2023. And they're not that different. Yes, they did draft Talisa Fuaga in the first round, but the rest of that line looking very similar. Ryan Ramczyk still dealing with injury, still a lot of question marks. You're on the road against Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Fuaga was dealing with an injury in practice this week. Did it look like it mattered? Derek Carr sacked just 1 time in this game, had plenty of time to throw. 8th offensive snap of the game is when it really felt like this was going to be a different sort of game. Carr gets plenty of time on the play action, finds Rashid Shaheed for a 70-yard bomb. They go up 14-3, and from there you say, oh, this is going to be a much different game than I initially anticipated. Offensive line deserving so much credit for that. Like I said, 190 yards on the ground, 3 different ball carriers averaged 5 yards per carry. They dominated Mike Zimmer's defense, attacked the edges, got the ball outside the tackle box. Just an incredibly impressive performance from those guys up front, considering how much scrutiny has been on them. And then Alvin Kamara said it himself. Clint Kubiak learned the name of the Saints' new offensive coordinator, apparently the newest star from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, because this Saints offense is mostly the same personnel as last year. Yes, Fuaga is there at tackle. That's a nice draft pick for them, but it's still Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. It's still Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, it's still Derek Carr throwing the ball, and yet 91 points through 2 weeks speaks for itself. 44 points against a defense that bludgeoned Cleveland last week. A lot of that, I think, is due to the guy pulling the levers, the guy calling the plays in Clint Kubiak. It's early. There's going to be ups and downs, but call it a star turn, because I think only football sickos knew this name 2 weeks ago. And now as the Saints go and continue piling up big numbers, you're going to hear that name more and more, because it is a night and day difference for this offense, and the personnel mostly the same. Big shout out for Clint Kubiak. Can't say enough about how impressive this offense was. Let's flip it over to the other side before we get out of here, before we move on to the next measuring stick game. But what a disappointment from the Dallas Cowboys. And it followed such a similar script from so many of their bad losses last year. I said the win against Cleveland looked familiar. This one honestly did as well. The Dallas defense must have forgot they had an early kickoff on Sunday. That's where it starts for me. A lot of people are going to have a lot to say about Dak Prescott because he is the $60 million man. I don't really care. When your defense surrenders touchdowns on your first 6 possessions of the game, 35 points at halftime, 42 points coming out of the first drive of the third quarter, how many games are you going to win? How many games are you going to win when the defense offers that little in the way of resistance? The Saints just moving up and down the field. It reminded me a lot of that Green Bay Packer game in the playoffs. I know Cowboy fans are tired of hearing about it, but how did you not get memories of that? It looked like Mike Zimmer had fixed so much of this defense's problems. I had a feeling they would be tested harder as the season went along. I don't think I saw it coming as early as week 2. They fail it drastically. The run defense, the pressure, again, just 1 sack on the day, 1 quarterback hit. Derek Carr, the quickest way to affect him is to put pressure on him, and the Cowboys absolutely didn't do it. Plenty to say about the offense as well. I thought Dak Prescott did a phenomenal job keeping the Cowboys in this game early. They scored points on 4 of their first 5 possessions. They get points coming out of halftime. Dak did have a miscommunication with CeeDee Lamb in the end zone in the first half that could have led to a touchdown. I'm certainly not saying he was perfect, but with really only CeeDee Lamb as a reliable option in the passing game, I thought he did what he could until he couldn't anymore. Then the score gets out of the way, gets out of hand. Dak throws an ugly interception trying to force things. Like I said, it kind of snowballs from there. So now through 2 weeks, we have seen the Dallas Cowboys looking exactly like the team from last year, for better and for worse. When the script is going their way and they can rush the passer and do what they want on offense, it's pretty nice. When the defense no-shows the way that it did on Sunday, it's pretty damn ugly. And now they've got a desperate 0-2 Baltimore Ravens team coming to AT&T Stadium in week 3. I don't know. I mean, you can't get too high after the Cleveland win. You also can't completely jump off the bandwagon after an ugly loss. But man, a lot of the issues we saw from the Cowboys last year, they all seem like they're still lingering there. And it does affect my opinion of how high this team's ceiling can be. So I saw this game as a measuring stick for the New Orleans Saints. It's the Dallas Cowboys who come up beyond short as the New Orleans Saints look to keep a big-time roll going. They've got Philly next week. What a performance from the Saints at AT&T Stadium.